The owner of a lighthouse on Lake Champlain is trying to save a piece of maritime history, a landmark that stood along the lake for nearly a century, right alongside his family's iconic lighthouse in Isle La Motte.
Yeah, definitely very rich history.
For more than 90 years, this metal tower stood here along the northern tip of Lake Champlain, right next to the Isle La Motte Lighthouse. Now it's covered with shrink wrap and ready to be shipped off to a salvage yard.
That was put up in 1933.
Rob Clark says that in the years after the Depression, back in the 1930s, the federal government automated lighthouses on lakes across the country, including here on Lake Champlain, replacing them with metal towers. The 44-foot tower put up here in Isle La Motte was built on the shoreline, right in the shadow of the historic lighthouse that Rob's family has owned since 1949. The skeleton tower did its job, guiding boats along the lake until 2002, when the Coast Guard put a new solar light back in the original lighthouse. Then, last November, crews took the tower down, cleaned up the site, and now plan to ship it off to a salvage yard in the Albany area.
My intention was to try to set it right back up on my property at the time, but in the meantime, I got I call it a nasty letter from the Coast Guard saying, no, they don't want me to have the thing, and if I want it, I got to buy it from scrap dealers.
Rob says the tower's removal is part of a lead abatement project happening across the country over the past decade. He says he was hopeful he'd be able to keep the tower, but then in March he got the letter from the Coast Guard saying it was going to be torn down and removed this spring.
They're talking the week of May 19th, so right around the corner.
Rob says the Coast Guard has told him if he wants to hold on to the tower, he'll have to buy it from the salvage company, which he says seems unfair.
I'm looking for a little bit of reciprocity. I've given them free rent, not one but two lighthouses. That ought to be worth something in my book.
A century-old piece of Lake Champlain maritime history that Rob says he would like to be able to save.
I feel it's important. It tells the story. It just, without it, you have that gap, if you will, in history. It's the last tangible things we have. Once that's gone, all you have is pictures or drawings, but, you know, it's nothing tangible.
And for you and your family, what does this mean, this tower and this piece of history?
Well, like I said, it's everything. It's my whole life pretty much, because, you know, I've pretty much devoted myself since my dad's passing to try to keep going on that legacy that my grandfather and my dad established many years ago, and try to keep that living for whoever hopefully will appreciate it in the future.
We did reach out to the Coast Guard Public Affairs, who told us they don't have the authority to give the tower to Rob and will stick with the plan to dispose of it. Once they no longer own it, though, the Coast Guard said Rob can then follow up with the disposal site to discuss getting the tower.